The first person to die in the apartment tower was an old woman on the 19th floor. She did not die from the cold. She did not die from the plague. She died because her neighbors smelled the rice she had hidden beneath her bed. They broke her door with a fire extinguisher. They dragged her into the hallway. They tore open every cabinet. When she begged them to leave her one handful, they laughed. Then someone crushed her fingers beneath a boot until she revealed the last bag. By dawn, her body had frozen against the stairwell window. By noon, the rice was gone. By night, the people who had killed her were already hungry again. That was the world after the black winter arrived. The sky had turned the color of rotting iron. Snow fell without stopping. Electricity vanished. Water pipes burst. The roads disappeared beneath mountains of ice. The government broadcasts lasted 3 days before dissolving into static. Rescue never came. Food became more valuable than gold. Medicine became more valuable than human life. Trust became a disease. Mercy became suicide. And Ethan Vale learned that lesson with a kitchen knife buried in his stomach. He lay on the floor of his own apartment, his blood spreading beneath him in a dark, steaming pool. Around him stood the people he had fed, the people he had protected, the people he had trusted. His childhood friend, Marcus Reed, held the knife. His girlfriend, Chloe Hart, stood behind Marcus with one hand pressed over her mouth. Not from horror, from excitement. Her eyes were fixed on the storage room behind Ethan. Canned meat, bottled water, medicine, batteries, fuel. Enough supplies to keep several people alive for months. Ethan had spent every dollar he owned gathering them after the first emergency warning. He had reinforced the windows, barricaded the door, shared food with his neighbors, accepted Chloe and Marcus when they arrived shivering and starving. He had believed that surviving together made them family. That belief was now draining out of his body through the wound beneath his ribs. Marcus twisted the knife. Pain exploded through Ethan's abdomen. His vision turned white. "You should have opened the storage room earlier," Marcus whispered. "You made us nervous." Ethan coughed blood onto Marcus's sleeve. Chloe flinched. Marcus did not. He pushed Ethan onto his back with one boot. "You were always like this," Marcus continued. "Always pretending to be calm. Always acting like you were better than everyone." Ethan tried to speak. Only blood came out. Chloe finally stepped closer. Her face was pale from hunger, but her lips curved with disgust. "Stop looking at me like that," she said. Ethan's eyes remained fixed on her. He remembered carrying her through the snow when her feet had gone numb. He remembered giving her his portion of soup. He remembered holding her when she cried about her missing parents. He remembered her promising that they would survive together. She crouched beside him and removed the ring from his finger. The ring she had given him. "I never loved you," she said softly. "You were useful. That was all." Something inside Ethan became colder than the storm outside. Marcus laughed. Chloe smiled. Behind them, 3 neighbors forced open the storage room. Their cheers filled the apartment. Boxes were torn apart. Bottles rolled across the floor. Someone began eating dry noodles straight from the package. Someone else fought over a can of peaches. Ethan watched them devour the future he had built. Not one of them looked at him. Not one of them thanked him. A man Ethan had once rescued from a frozen elevator kicked his hand away from a fallen bottle. A woman whose sick child had survived because of Ethan's medicine stepped over his legs without hesitation. Human faces. Animal eyes. Marcus leaned down. "You were too kind for this world." The knife entered Ethan's chest. Once. Twice. Again. His heartbeat shattered. The ceiling faded. The screams grew distant. His final thought was not fear. It was not regret. It was a promise. If he ever returned, he would never save them again. He would watch them starve. He would listen to them beg. He would make every mouth that mocked him choke on its own desperation. Darkness swallowed him. Then Ethan opened his eyes. Warm sunlight rested on his face. A ceiling fan turned slowly overhead. Cars moved along the street below. Someone laughed outside. A delivery truck honked. Ethan did not move. He stared at the ceiling. His breathing remained steady. His hands remained still. But beneath the blanket, his fingers curled until his nails cut into his palms. He knew this room. He knew this smell. Fresh coffee. Laundry detergent. Summer rain drifting through an open window. His apartment. Before the black winter. Before the starvation. Before the betrayal. Ethan raised one hand and touched his chest. No wound. No blood. No knife. He reached for the phone beside the bed. The date glowed on the screen. 40 days before the apocalypse. Ethan sat up. His reflection stared back from the dark television. Young, healthy, unbroken. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he smiled. It was not a joyful smile. It was the smile of a blade being pulled from its sheath. 40 days, he whispered. Enough time. More than enough. Memories flooded his mind. The emergency alert that everyone ignored. The strange reports of birds freezing in midsummer. The sudden collapse of global temperatures. The storm front that swallowed entire cities. The riots. The power failures. The hunger. The madness. He remembered every supply shortage. Every failed shelter. Every building that collapsed. Every person who revealed their true face. He remembered the apartment tower becoming a slaughterhouse. He remembered which doors were broken first, which pipes froze, which stairwell became a battlefield, which neighbors formed gangs, which families hid food, which people begged, which people killed. Most importantly, he remembered what had happened beneath the building. 3 days after the Black Winter began, a strange energy had spread across the world. Some people awakened abilities, weak abilities, powerful abilities, useless abilities, deadly abilities. Marcus had awakened fire manipulation. Chloe had awakened emotional suggestion. Ethan had awakened nothing, or so he had believed. Only as he died had he heard the voice. A voice buried beneath the screams. A voice that arrived too late. Host confirmed. Death condition fulfilled. Fortress sovereign system activated. The words returned to him now, clearer than memory, colder than steel. As if answering his thoughts, a transparent black screen appeared before his eyes. Fortress sovereign system awakening. Host detected before death condition. Temporal reversal anomaly confirmed. Compensation protocol initiated. Ethan watched without blinking. A faint pulse moved through the apartment. The walls trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. The air became heavy. Fortress territory detected. Initial territory consists of host's legal residence. Available functions include structural reinforcement, spatial expansion, environmental control, resource conversion, automated defense, hostile detection, and sovereign authority. Every ordinary object inside the territory may be upgraded through survival points. Survival points may be obtained by storing resources, improving the fortress, eliminating hostile targets, or causing enemies to experience despair within sovereign territory. Ethan's smile deepened. Despair. How generous. A final message appeared. Compensation reward available. Choose one initial sovereign talent. Several choices unfolded before him. Infinite ammunition. Regenerative walls. Resource duplication. Absolute climate control. Dimensional storage. Automated execution. Ethan read each option once. He did not hesitate. Resource duplication. Selection confirmed. Any non-living survival resource stored within the fortress may be duplicated at fixed intervals. Duplication efficiency increases with fortress rank. Current fortress rank is dormant. Current duplication efficiency is minimal. Current territory is vulnerable. Recommended action: strengthen the fortress before the catastrophe. The screen vanished. Ethan swung his legs over the bed. He walked through the apartment slowly. Every room looked pathetic. Thin walls. Cheap windows. A wooden front door. Exposed pipes. Weak locks. No backup power. No water reserves. No reinforced shelter. In his previous life, he had called this place home. Now he saw it for what it was. A coffin with furniture. He placed one hand against the wall. A new interface appeared. Structural integrity. Poor. Insulation. Poor. Impact resistance. Negligible. Explosion resistance. None. Available upgrade paths locked until sufficient survival points are acquired. Ethan lowered his hand. He needed money, supplies, construction crews, specialized materials, weapons, fuel, medical equipment, generators, water tanks, solar panels, communication systems, cold storage, and secrecy. Above all, secrecy. The people around him could not know what he was building. Not Marcus. Not Chloe. Not the neighbors. Not the authorities. 40 days was enough to create a fortress. It was also enough to prepare a graveyard. His phone rang. Chloe's name appeared. Ethan stared at it. The memory of her removing his ring passed through his mind. The memory of her smile followed. He answered. "Morning, babe," Chloe said sweetly. "Did I wake you?" Her voice was warm, soft, perfectly rehearsed. In the previous life, that voice had controlled him. Now it sounded like an insect crawling across glass. "No," Ethan said. "I was thinking we could have dinner tonight. Marcus might join us. He has some exciting investment idea." Ethan looked toward the window. Marcus's investment idea. He remembered it. A fraudulent medical company. Marcus had convinced Ethan to invest most of his savings. The company collapsed shortly before the apocalypse. Marcus secretly withdrew his own money first. Ethan lost everything. That was why his original supplies had been so limited. That was why he had struggled to feed everyone. That was why they had eventually killed him. The knife had entered his body long before the apocalypse. He simply had not felt it until the end. "Sounds good," Ethan replied. Chloe paused. She had expected resistance. "You are not going to ask what the investment is? I trust you." Silence. Then she laughed with relief. "That is why I love you." Ethan closed his eyes. In his mind, Chloe was crawling across the floor. Her lips were blue. Her cheeks were hollow. She was begging him to open the door. He could almost hear it, almost taste it. "I know," he said. After ending the call, Ethan contacted a property broker. He instructed the broker to sell every investment account he owned. Then he listed his car, his watch collection, his inherited land outside the city, every possession that would become worthless after the world froze. He took out loans, maximized credit lines, liquidated retirement funds, applied for emergency financing. Money in the old world was paper. Debt in the new world was smoke. By noon, he had assembled the beginning of a war chest. Not enough, but enough to start. He called a construction company known for private panic rooms. "I need a full structural renovation," Ethan said. The manager chuckled. "For an apartment? For the entire top floor." The laughter stopped. Ethan had purchased the adjacent units years earlier as investments, but never renovated them. 4 apartments. 1 connected territory. 1 future fortress. "I want reinforced steel walls behind the existing walls. Ballistic windows. An armored entrance. Independent ventilation, chemical filtration, fire suppression, internal water storage, hidden power systems, soundproofing. No exterior signs of modification. That kind of work requires permits. I will pay triple." A pause. "When do you need it?" "Finished in 30 days. "That is impossible. I will pay 5 times the price." The manager inhaled. "Send me the address." Ethan made the next call. Then another. Then another. Warehouse suppliers. Medical distributors. Agricultural wholesalers. Fuel storage companies. Security contractors. Solar installers. Industrial refrigeration manufacturers. He ordered rice, flour, salt, sugar, canned meat, dried vegetables, powdered milk, cooking oil, vitamins, antibiotics, painkillers, bandages, water filters, batteries, heaters, blankets, tools, seeds, soil, fertilizer, hygiene products, and animal feed. He ordered enough for an army. Every supplier asked why. Ethan gave each one a different lie. A restaurant chain, a relief foundation, a film production, a private expedition, a disaster preparedness company. Money closed their mouths. Greed erased their suspicion. By evening, the first delivery arrived. 20 cases of bottled water. The workers stacked them inside the empty apartment next door. When the final case crossed the threshold, the system appeared. Survival resources detected. Storage value converted. Survival points acquired. Resource duplication activated. Estimated duplication interval reduced by increased stored volume. Ethan placed his hand on one case. A soft black glow passed through the plastic. The bottles trembled. A second case appeared beside the first. Perfect. Sealed. Identical. Cold water condensed against the plastic. Ethan opened one bottle and drank. The water tasted ordinary. That made it miraculous. He looked across the empty rooms. In 40 days, billions would fight for a mouthful of this. Parents would abandon children for it. Friends would murder friends. Chloe would kiss blood from Marcus's hands for it. And Ethan would possess more than he could ever drink. His phone vibrated again. A message from Marcus. "Do not forget dinner." Big opportunity tonight. Could make us rich. Ethan typed a reply. I would not miss it. He put the phone away. Outside, the city glowed beneath the setting sun. Restaurants filled with food. Supermarkets overflowed with fruit and meat. People wasted water. People complained about the heat. People believed tomorrow belonged to them. They had no idea that death was already moving toward the horizon. Ethan stepped onto the balcony. Warm wind touched his face. Far above the clouds, the first black vein had appeared in the sky. No one else noticed. He did. He remembered that mark. The wound in heaven. The beginning of the end. Behind him, another case of water materialized in silence. Then another. Then another. Ethan rested both hands on the balcony railing. His apartment was still weak. His enemies were still smiling. The apocalypse had not yet begun, but the execution had. This time, he would not carry anyone through the snow. He would not share his food. He would not open his door. He would build walls no army could break. He would fill his fortress with warmth while the city froze. He would feast while the traitors clawed frozen flesh from the dead. And when Marcus and Chloe finally crawled to his entrance, crying his name with bleeding lips, Ethan would stand behind the glass and watch. Not with anger, not with mercy, with the same cold smile they had seen before driving the knife into his heart. Only this time, the knife would belong to him. Dinner took place in a rooftop restaurant where the city glittered beneath warm evening rain. Chloe arrived first. She wore the red dress Ethan had once bought her for their anniversary. In his previous life, he had thought she looked beautiful. Now he noticed the details he had ignored. The careful makeup, the rehearsed smile, the way her eyes moved toward his watch before they moved toward his face. She stood and wrapped her arms around him. Her perfume touched his throat. For one instant, the memory of her kneeling beside his dying body returned. Her fingers removing his ring. Her lips forming the words that had followed him into death. You were useful. That was all. Ethan placed one hand lightly against her back. No warmth. No hesitation. He smiled. Chloe leaned away and studied him. You seem different. Do I? Calmer. I slept well. She laughed. You always say strange things when you are hiding something. Ethan pulled out her chair. I trust you. Why would I hide anything? The words pleased her. He saw it immediately. Her shoulders relaxed. Her eyes softened. Predators loved prey that lowered its head willingly. Marcus arrived late. He wore an expensive suit he could not afford and carried the confidence of a man who believed every room belonged to him. He gripped Ethan's shoulder with false affection. My brother. Ethan looked at the hand. The same hand had held the knife. Marcus noticed nothing. He sat beside Chloe rather than across from her. A small mistake. A revealing one. Their knees touched beneath the table. Neither moved away. In his previous life, Ethan had not noticed. Now every glance between them screamed. Marcus ordered the most expensive bottle of wine. He did not ask Ethan. He never intended to pay. The waiter poured. Marcus raised his glass. To opportunity. Ethan touched his glass to theirs. To getting exactly what we deserve. Chloe smiled. Marcus laughed. Neither understood. The investment presentation began after the appetizers arrived. Marcus placed a folder on the table. Inside were polished charts, medical claims, projected profits, and forged research reports. The company claimed to be developing a revolutionary cold resistance treatment. The irony almost made Ethan laugh. In the old timeline, Marcus had obtained early information about the coming climate anomaly through a corrupt official. He knew something catastrophic was approaching. He did not know the scale. He used the rumors to create panic among selected investors. He planned to collect their money, withdraw his share, and disappear before the fraud collapsed. Ethan had been his largest target. You get in now, Marcus said, tapping the page, and you could multiply your money before the public hears about this. How much are you investing? Ethan asked. Marcus did not blink. Everything I have. A lie. Chloe placed her hand over Ethan's. I think we should do it. We. Such a convenient word. Ethan looked at their joined hands. In the future, Chloe would hold Marcus while Ethan bled. Tonight, she held Ethan while Marcus robbed him. The knife had changed shape. That was all. How much do you need from me? Ethan asked. Marcus leaned back. He tried to hide his excitement. Your available savings would be enough. I sold some property today. Marcus's eyes sharpened. Chloe's fingers tightened around Ethan's hand. You sold the land? She asked. Yes. Why did you not tell me? Ethan tilted his head. You said you trusted Marcus. I do. Then there is no problem. Marcus smiled. That is exactly right. Ethan opened the folder again. He pretended to read. Then he closed it. I'm not investing. The silence was immediate. Marcus's smile froze. Chloe's hand withdrew. What? She asked. Ethan took a slow drink. I am giving you the opportunity. Marcus stared at him. Ethan continued. You said the return will be extraordinary. I would feel selfish taking the largest share. You should invest your money. Chloe should invest hers. Borrow more if you believe in it. Chloe's face tightened. That makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. Marcus leaned forward. You are afraid. No. You think I am lying? No. Then invest. Ethan smiled. I trust you so much that I would never steal your chance to become rich. Marcus could not answer. The trap was elegant. To argue against Ethan, he would have to admit the investment was dangerous. To continue the lie, he would have to accept the burden himself. Chloe recovered first. We wanted to help you. And you have. Ethan reached into his coat and placed a bank card on the table. For a moment, both of them looked hungry. Marcus's breathing changed. Chloe's lips parted. This account contains a small amount, Ethan said. Use it for the initial deposit. Put the investment under your names. Marcus took the card. How much? Enough to prove I support you. It was almost nothing compared with what they expected, but greed rarely rejected the first bite. Marcus slipped the card into his pocket. His smile returned. We will talk again tomorrow. Of course. Chloe watched Ethan carefully. She sensed that something had shifted. Her instincts were better than Marcus's, but instincts were useless without courage. She still believed she controlled him. She still believed his affection made him weak. After dinner, Marcus left with the folder and the card. Chloe remained. She stood close to Ethan beneath the restaurant awning while rain whispered across the city. You embarrassed him, she said. He will survive. He was trying to help us. Then he should be happy. Chloe frowned. I do not understand you tonight. Ethan brushed a strand of wet hair from her cheek. The gesture was gentle. His eyes were not. You will. She shivered. Not from cold. Ethan kissed her forehead and walked away. He did not look back. By midnight, the first construction crew entered the apartment tower. They arrived in unmarked vehicles. Materials were covered beneath black tarps. The workers believed they were building a private security suite for a wealthy client with severe paranoia. They were not entirely wrong. Steel plates disappeared behind the walls. Reinforced beams entered the ceilings. Ballistic glass replaced ordinary windows beneath identical outer frames. The entrance door was removed. In its place came a layered barrier of hardened steel, ceramic armor, and internal locking bolts. To anyone in the hallway, it still looked like polished wood. Behind that disguise, it could withstand gunfire, fire, impact, and sustained assault. Ethan watched the work through the system interface. Every modification produced survival points. Every delivery increased his stored resources. Every resource fed the duplication talent. Boxes multiplied in sealed rooms. 1 bag of rice became 2. 2 became 4. 4 became 8. Cases of medicine spread across shelves like silent soldiers. Water tanks refilled themselves. Fuel drums duplicated behind reinforced partitions. Batteries appeared beside batteries. Canned food stacked higher each morning. The system did not create objects instantly without limit. It studied value, volume, rarity, usefulness. The more complete Ethan's fortress became, the faster its internal economy grew. He invested survival points into expansion. The 4 apartments merged beneath the system's authority. Walls shifted without sound. Hidden corridors formed. Storage rooms deepened beyond the physical dimensions of the building. A small pantry became a cold warehouse. A closet became an armory vault. A spare bedroom unfolded into a medical chamber. The apartment still occupied the same exterior space. Inside, it had begun to ignore reality. Fortress territory expanded. Spatial stability improved. Resource duplication efficiency increased. Environmental sealing unlocked. Hostile detection unlocked. Ethan activated both. A cold pulse passed through the floor. The system mapped every living presence within the tower. Residents appeared as pale silhouettes. Workers glowed blue. Unknown visitors glowed gray. Chloe glowed yellow. Marcus glowed red. Ethan looked at the red shape moving through the lobby far below. Marcus had come without warning. Of course he had. A minute later, he called. "I'm downstairs. I am busy. I brought documents. Leave them with security." Marcus went silent. Then his voice hardened. "You have construction crews going in and out all night. Renovation. For what? Comfort." Marcus laughed. "You never cared about luxury. People change." The red silhouette remained near the elevators. Marcus was not leaving. Ethan opened a hidden camera feed. Marcus spoke to the building guard. He offered money. The guard hesitated, then accepted. Ethan watched without anger. Corruption was useful. It revealed the weak joints before the storm arrived. Marcus entered the elevator. The system followed him. Red. Closer. Closer. The elevator stopped below Ethan's floor. Marcus climbed the emergency stairs. He was attempting to avoid the cameras. He did not know every camera belonged to Ethan now. He reached the top landing. He pressed his ear against the service door. Behind it, workers installed a reinforced ventilation system. Marcus took photographs through the narrow glass panel. He sent them to Chloe. Ethan watched the message appear on a mirrored interface. He could read every signal crossing his territory. "What is he building?" Chloe replied almost immediately. "Maybe he knows something." Marcus typed again. "We need access before he locks us out." Ethan's expression did not change. He opened the door. Marcus stumbled forward. For the first time that evening, fear crossed his face. Ethan stood in the hallway wearing black gloves. Behind him, the construction site looked ordinary. Plastic sheets, tools, exposed walls. Nothing more. "You should have called," Ethan said. Marcus recovered. "I did, and I told you I was busy." Marcus forced a laugh. "I was curious." Curiosity becomes dangerous when it enters someone else's home. The words landed harder than their volume suggested. Marcus's smile weakened. Then he lifted the folder. "Loan documents. The company increased the private allocation. We can still secure your share." Ethan took the folder. He did not open it. "I already told you to take the opportunity. I cannot cover the full amount alone. Borrow." Marcus stared. "You want me to take debt? You said the return was guaranteed." "It is." "Then debt should not frighten you." Marcus's jaw tightened. Behind his eyes, calculation twisted into resentment. "Good." Ethan wanted the anger. Angry people became careless. Careless people buried themselves. "I will think about it," Marcus said. "No. Decide now." "What?" Ethan stepped closer. "You came into my building, bribed my guard, avoided the cameras, climbed the stairs, watched my workers. All because you believe in this opportunity." Marcus's face changed. "Only slightly." "Enough." Ethan smiled. "So take it." For several seconds, the hallway was silent. Then Marcus nodded. "I will. Use Chloe's apartment as collateral." Marcus's eyes widened. Ethan continued calmly. "She believes in you. She will agree. That is between her and me. Everything seems to be." Marcus stopped breathing. Ethan let the silence stretch. Then he laughed softly. Marcus laughed too. Too late. Too loudly. Paranoia entered his eyes. Had Ethan discovered them? Had Chloe said something? Had someone seen them together? Ethan handed back the folder. "Relax. You look guilty." Marcus forced another smile. "I have nothing to feel guilty about." "Not yet." Ethan closed the door. The reinforced locks engaged behind it with a deep metallic sound. Marcus stood outside for a long time. The system measured the rising pulse in his throat. Fear converted into despair potential. Despair potential marked for future harvest. Ethan returned to the central room. The construction workers had uncovered the last section of original flooring. Beneath it lay a sealed maintenance hatch. Ethan remembered that hatch. In the previous life, the residents had discovered it after the heat failed. They believed it led to the building's central utility network. They were wrong. It led deeper, far beneath the foundation, beneath the parking levels, beneath the frozen soil, to a forgotten government shelter built during an old war scare. The shelter contained a dormant geothermal core. Not a normal generator, something experimental. Something that had awakened after the strange energy arrived. Marcus had discovered it first in the previous life. His fire manipulation had resonated with the core. It amplified him. It made him powerful. It also poisoned him. Every flame he created consumed a piece of his nervous system. By the end, he suffered constant pain. His hands shook. His skin cracked. His mind decayed. That was why he became more violent. That was why he wanted Ethan's supplies so desperately. The so-called treasure beneath the building had been a cup filled with poison, and Marcus was about to drink it again. Ethan placed his palm on the hatch. The system responded. Unknown energy source detected below sovereign territory. Potential fortress core identified. Warning. Current host authority insufficient for safe fusion. Alternative path available. Mark energy source as contested bait. Allow external target to establish unstable bond. Harvest target data. Remove target after corruption matures. Ethan's smile returned. Market. Contested bait established. A faint red symbol sank through the metal. Far below, something ancient began to pulse. Marcus felt it. Ethan knew he would. A man destined for fire could not ignore a furnace calling his name. The next morning, Marcus returned to the tower. This time, he brought tools. He entered through the underground garage. He bribed another employee. He searched the maintenance corridors. Chloe waited in a car outside. Ethan watched from above while eating breakfast. Fresh eggs, warm bread, coffee, fruit. The food had been duplicated overnight. The system displayed Marcus as a red silhouette descending beneath the building. Deeper, closer. Marcus reached the hidden shelter. He found the geothermal chamber. He saw the dark crystal suspended above the core. He touched it. The bond formed instantly. Marcus screamed. Flames burst from his hands. He fell to his knees. His skin split across his palms. The fire crawled into his veins. Then he laughed. The sound echoed through the underground chamber. Power had entered him. So had death. Above, Ethan cut a piece of bread. The system recorded every change. Unstable elemental bond confirmed. Target corruption initiated. Projected failure unavoidable. Harvest value increasing. Ethan drank his coffee. Marcus believed he had stolen a miracle. Chloe believed Ethan was becoming suspicious. The residents believed the construction was meaningless luxury. The city believed summer would continue. Everyone was wrong. Inside the fortress, shelves filled themselves. Steel thickened. Water multiplied. Medicine spread. Hidden defenses awakened one by one. Outside the fortress, greed ripened into ruin. Ethan watched Marcus emerge from the garage with trembling hands hidden in his pockets. Chloe rushed toward him. Marcus showed her a tiny flame dancing above his finger, her face filled with wonder. Then hunger, then ambition. They embraced. They believed they had won. High above them, behind glass strong enough to stop a rifle round, Ethan watched in silence. He had given them the treasure. He had given them the power. He had given them exactly what they wanted. Now all he had to do was let it kill them. The fortress stopped resembling an apartment on the 23rd day. Its outer walls remained unchanged. The same gray concrete faced the city. The same balcony railings overlooked the street. The same hallway lights flickered beyond the entrance. To the residents, Ethan's home was still a collection of expensive renovations hidden behind locked doors. Inside, space had unfolded into something impossible. The central living room had become a command hall. A black table stretched across the floor beneath suspended screens. Every camera in the building appeared upon them. Every heat signature. Every open door. Every moving elevator. Every whispered conversation carried through compromised security devices. The system listened without emotion. Ethan listened without mercy. Beyond the command hall stood a greenhouse larger than the entire rooftop. Artificial sunlight poured from panels embedded in a vaulted ceiling. Rows of vegetables grew in dark soil. Tomatoes hung heavy from vines. Potatoes swelled beneath the earth. Herbs filled the air with sharp, living scents. Fruit trees rose along the rear wall. Their branches bent beneath apples, oranges, and pears. The resource duplication talent had copied seeds, then soil, then fertilizer, then harvested produce. The first handful had become baskets. The first basket had become crates. The crates became abundance. In the dying world to come, a single apple would buy loyalty. Inside Ethan's fortress, apples fell to the ground because there were too many to collect. He walked between the rows while the irrigation system whispered beneath his feet. Water moved through purified channels. Temperature remained exact. Humidity shifted by fractions. Pests could not enter. Disease could not spread. The greenhouse did not depend on the seasons. The seasons would soon depend on nothing. Beside the greenhouse waited a livestock chamber. Rabbits moved through clean enclosures. Chickens scratched beneath heated lamps. Fish swam inside stacked tanks fed by a closed filtration system. Every animal had been chosen for efficiency, fast breeding, low consumption, high nutritional value. Ethan did not need them yet, but survival was not measured by what one needed today. It was measured by what remained after everything else failed. The medical wing had expanded as well. White walls, sterile lights, surgical equipment, diagnostic scanners, freezers filled with blood substitutes. Shelves held medicine enough to supply a private hospital. Antibiotics duplicated slowly. Rare drugs duplicated even more slowly. Ethan used survival points to increase their priority. He knew which illnesses would spread once the dead crowded the stairwells. He knew which wounds would kill without treatment. He knew the price people would offer for a single fever reducer. Their watches, their weapons, their bodies, their children. He would not trade. He had not built a market. He had built a throne. The armory waited beneath the command hall. Ethan entered through a door that recognized his pulse. Rows of weapons lined the walls. Rifles, shotguns, handguns, crossbows, blades, protective armor, stun devices, smoke canisters, industrial tools modified for close combat, ammunition-filled sealed compartments. Resource duplication had transformed a limited stock into an arsenal. Ethan lifted a compact rifle. The system analyzed it. Ordinary firearm detected. Upgrade path available. Reinforced action. Silent cycling. Cold resistance. Sovereign targeting. Hostile lock. Ammunition recycling. Ethan selected all of them. Survival points vanished. The weapon darkened in his hands. Metal tightened. The barrel shortened. Lines of pale light appeared along the receiver before sinking beneath the surface. Upgraded sovereign weapon complete. Accuracy increased. Recoil reduced. Mechanical failure probability eliminated within fortress territory. Ammunition may be reclaimed after hostile elimination. Ethan aimed at the wall. A target formed. The system measured his breathing, his pulse, his grip. A small symbol appeared over the target's center. He fired. The sound was little more than a cough. The round struck exactly where the symbol had rested. Ethan lowered the rifle. In his previous life, Marcus's flames had terrified the residents. Now those flames would be useful only for warming the room before Marcus died. The fortress continued growing. Every weakness became a project. Every project became strength. The balcony transformed into a concealed observation deck. The ventilation system gained poison filters. The doors gained electric barriers. The walls gained hidden firing ports. The elevators could be seized remotely. The stairwells could be sealed. The hallways could be flooded with sleeping gas. The outer windows could turn opaque. The floors could detect weight. The ceilings could release restraints. Anyone entering without permission would walk into a machine designed to study fear, then increase it. Fortress rank improved. Current rank: Iron Bastion. New authority unlocked. Sovereign Servitor contract. Ethan paused. A new interface unfolded before him. A sovereign may designate a limited number of bonded residents. Bonded residents receive access according to rank. Betrayal triggers immediate contract termination. Host may assign labor, security, medical, agricultural, or technical authority. Ethan had not planned to bring anyone inside. Trust had killed him once. He did not intend to offer it another blade. But a fortress this large required hands. Not friends. Not family. Assets. The distinction mattered. He reviewed the people he remembered from the previous life. Most were cowards. Some were parasites. A few had remained human long after humanity became expensive. One name returned first. Maya Chen. She had lived on the lower floors. A trauma surgeon. Quiet. Exhausted. Mocked by the residents because she refused to waste medicine on people who were already dying. They called her cold. Then they begged for her help. In the previous life, Maya had treated Ethan after a gang attacked him for food. She asked for nothing. Later, Marcus tried to force her into his group. She cut his forearm with a scalpel and escaped into the service tunnels. The cold killed her 2 days later. Competent. Disciplined. Difficult to intimidate. Useful. Ethan found her at a hospital nearing the end of a night shift. She sat alone in the cafeteria, drinking bitter coffee beneath fluorescent lights. Dark circles framed her eyes. A medical chart rested beside her untouched breakfast. She looked up when Ethan sat across from her. "Do I know you?" "No." "Then this seat is occupied." "No, it is not." Her expression hardened. Ethan placed a contract on the table. Maya did not touch it. What is this? Employment. I have employment. Not for long. She leaned back. That sounds like a threat. It is a forecast. Ethan slid the document closer. Private physician. Residential access. Full medical authority within assigned facilities. A salary high enough to erase her debts. Immediate transfer. No public disclosure. Mandatory confidentiality. Maya read the first page. Then, the second. Her suspicion deepened. This is absurd. Yes. You want me to leave a hospital and become the private doctor for a stranger? Yes. Why? Because the hospital will fail. She studied him. When? Soon. What do you know? Enough to offer you a place before everyone else begins screaming. Maya closed the contract. I do not work for cult leaders. Neither do I. Billionaires? No. Criminals? Only when necessary. That answer almost made her smile. Almost. Ethan placed a sealed medical file beside the contract. It contained reports he had gathered from private clinics. Unusual frost injuries. Blood changes. Patients suffering sudden temperature collapse despite normal weather. Early signs of the black winter. Maya opened the file. Her amusement vanished. She read every page. Then read them again. Where did you get this? Does it matter? Yes. No. She looked toward the cafeteria windows. Morning light touched the city. People moved outside in summer clothing. Nothing appeared wrong. That made the evidence worse. What exactly are you preparing for? She asked. Systemic collapse. How severe? Severe enough that this hospital will become a morgue before the month ends. Maya stared at him. Why me? You make decisions without needing applause. That is not an answer. It is the only answer that matters. She was silent for a long time. Then she signed. The system responded the moment her name touched the page. Candidate accepted sovereign contract willingly. Medical servitor designation available. Ethan confirmed. A faint mark appeared beneath Maya's wrist. She jerked back. What was that? Your access key. She rubbed the skin. No mark remained. Her eyes narrowed. Ethan stood. A vehicle will collect you tonight. Bring what matters. Leave the rest. You assume I am coming. You signed. I can change my mind. Ethan looked at her unfinished coffee. No. You cannot. The second person was easier. Jonah Blake. Former military engineer. Discharged after refusing an illegal order. He repaired generators in an industrial district and slept in the back room of his workshop. In the old world, no one respected him. In the Black Winter, entire shelters fought over his skills. Marcus had offered Jonah food in exchange for restoring the tower's heating. When Jonah finished, Marcus accused him of stealing supplies. The residents beat him to death. Ethan found him beneath an open generator casing. Jonah did not look up. Shop is closed. I need a power grid that survives the end of civilization. Jonah tightened a bolt. Then you need a different shop. I have geothermal access. The wrench stopped. Jonah looked up. Where? Beneath my building. What model? Experimental. Output? Unknown. Condition? Unstable. Jonah wiped his hands. How unstable? It bonded to an idiot. Jonah stared. Then laughed. Ethan did not. The laughter died. You are serious? Yes. What happened to the idiot? He thinks he became powerful. Jonah studied Ethan's face. You want the core removed? No. I want it harvested after it finishes poisoning him. For the first time, Jonah looked interested. By sunset, he had accepted the technical contract. The system marked him as engineer servitor. The third person joined without negotiation. Lena Ortiz, a quiet woman who ran a logistics warehouse near the river. In the previous life, she had organized food distribution for hundreds of refugees. The refugees betrayed her after Marcus spread rumors that she was hiding supplies. They broke into her warehouse. They found nothing because she had already distributed everything. They killed her anyway. Ethan showed her his storage network. Not all of it. Only enough. She stood among towers of rice and bottled water, her face pale with disbelief. You could feed a district. I could. Will you? No. Her eyes turned sharp. Then why show me this? Because I need someone who can track every grain. And when people starve outside, they starve. Lena looked at him as though searching for shame. She found none. You are a monster. Probably. Why would I work for you? Because monsters survive long enough to protect what belongs to them. Lena looked toward the reinforced door, then toward the shelves. She had seen the reports. She had watched shipping routes fail. She knew shortages were beginning. Her idealism fought her intelligence. Intelligence won. She signed. The system designated her quartermaster servitor, 3 residents, 3 tools. 3 people who had died because fools mistook usefulness for weakness. Ethan did not promise friendship. He did not promise kindness. He offered survival in exchange for obedience. They accepted. The fortress changed again. Maya organized the medical wing. Jonah mapped the geothermal network. Lena rebuilt the inventory system. None of them saw the deepest storage chambers. None entered the sovereign core room. None knew the full scale of resource duplication. Access was earned. Trust was not given. While Ethan's empire grew, Marcus's fantasy began to rot. The fire inside him strengthened every day. He could melt steel with his fingers. He could ignite a room with a breath. He could make flames crawl across his skin without burning his clothes. Chloe praised him constantly. She called him chosen. She called him powerful. She called him the future. Marcus believed her because he wanted to. He did not tell her about the pain, the shaking, the black lines spreading beneath his arms, the smell of burned nerves that followed him after every use. He did not tell her that the fire whispered at night. It demanded fuel, then flesh, then fear. Instead, Marcus borrowed against everything. Chloe signed away her apartment. They invested in the fraudulent company. They bought luxury goods. They rented a private suite. They drank expensive wine while discussing the empire they would build after society collapsed. Marcus believed his fire would make him king. Chloe believed Marcus would make her queen. Neither understood that Ethan had already built a kingdom above their heads. On the final warm evening, Ethan stood in the greenhouse beneath artificial sunlight. Maya checked the medicine inventory. Jonah calibrated the geothermal regulators. Lena sealed the last delivery manifest. Outside, the city celebrated a summer festival. Music rose from the streets. Children chased lights between food stalls. Restaurants threw leftovers into trash bins. People complained that the night was too warm. Ethan watched black clouds gather beyond the skyline. The system issued its warning. Catastrophic atmospheric transition detected. Estimated impact imminent. Fortress integrity sufficient. Environmental isolation ready. Sovereign defenses ready. Resource reserves exceed projected survival threshold. Iron Bastion promotion condition fulfilled. Advanced to SSS Rank trial state? Ethan confirmed. The apartment trembled. Steel fused. Space folded. Locks awakened. The geothermal network roared beneath the building. Every screen in the command hall turned black. Then a single symbol appeared. A crown above a closed gate. Fortress designation established. The last hearth. Trial authority active. All hostile entry denied. All bonded residents recalled. All systems prepared for extinction-level conditions. Across the city, the first snowflake fell. It landed on a child's hand. The child laughed. Then the skin beneath it turned black. The screaming began. Inside the fortress, the temperature remained warm. The lights did not flicker. The water continued flowing. The greenhouse continued growing. Ethan stood before the armored windows as summer died in a single breath. Behind him waited food, medicine, power, weapons, servants. An empire sealed behind one door. Below him, Marcus raised his burning hands toward the frozen sky. Chloe clung to his arm. They smiled. They thought the apocalypse had arrived to crown them. Ethan watched the snow swallow the city. Then he smiled too. Theirs was the smile of delusion. His was the smile of ownership. The city died before midnight. Summer vanished in less than an hour. Rain froze in the air. Cars skidded across black ice and crushed into storefronts. Power lines snapped beneath the weight of sudden frost. Streetlights burst one after another. The festival became a stampede. People ran without direction. Parents lost children. Children disappeared beneath boots. Those who reached the subway found the gates locked. Those who reached the hospitals found the doors already surrounded. Those who reached home discovered that warmth leaked through their walls faster than fear could fill their lungs. The first night belonged to panic. The second belonged to hunger. The third belonged to violence. Inside the last hearth, the temperature remained perfect. Warm light filled the command hall. Steam rose from bowls of thick beef stew. Fresh bread rested beside them. Maya ate slowly while studying reports from the medical sensors. Jonah sat near the geothermal controls with grease on his hands. Lena counted the latest duplication cycle and frowned at the surplus. "We are producing more food than the storage plan allows," she said. Ethan cut his bread. "Expand the cold chambers." "I already expanded them." "Expand them again." Lena looked toward the windows. Beyond the armored glass, snow erased the city. "You understand what is happening outside?" "Yes." "People are dying." "Yes." "And we are discussing storage overflow." "Yes." Her jaw tightened. Maya did not look up. Jonah did. Ethan continued eating. The room remained warm. The stew remained hot. Outside, people burned furniture to survive another hour. The contrast was almost obscene. That was why the system rewarded it. Despair detected near sovereign territory. Fortress inhabitants experience abundance, while hostile population experiences deprivation. Survival points acquired. Lena saw the faint interface reflected in Ethan's eyes. She said nothing. She had accepted the contract. She had chosen intelligence over idealism. Now intelligence demanded she survive the consequences. The first attack came before dawn. A family from the floor below gathered outside Ethan's entrance. A father, a mother, two children wrapped in curtains. The father knocked until his knuckles bled. "Ethan." No answer. "We know you are inside." The door remained silent. "We only need warmth." His wife began crying. The children did not. They had already crossed the point where tears mattered. The father struck the door with both hands. "You have power." We can see the lights under the frame. Inside the command hall, every voice came through clearly. Maya watched the camera feed. Her spoon stopped halfway to her mouth. "They are not hostile," she said. Ethan looked at the screen. The father had hidden a kitchen knife beneath his coat. The mother carried an empty backpack. The older child clutched a metal tool. "They are not desperate enough yet," Ethan replied. Maya looked at him. "That is not what I said. It is what matters." The father outside lowered his voice. "Open the door. We will not cause trouble." The system magnified his pulse. His eyes moved toward the lock. His hand tightened around the concealed knife. Ethan activated the speaker. The family froze when his voice filled the hallway. "Go back downstairs." The father stepped closer. "Ethan, please. Your apartment is still intact. The windows broke. You should have reinforced them. We did not know. You laughed at the construction crews." The father's face changed. He remembered. During the renovation, he had complained about noise. He had called Ethan paranoid. He had threatened legal action. Now his children were freezing beside him. "That was before," he whispered. "Yes. My children will die." "Yes." The mother screamed at the camera. "You monster." Ethan's expression did not change. The word no longer offended him. It sounded accurate. The father drew the knife and stabbed at the door controls. A blue current erupted. His body locked. Smoke rose from his sleeve. He collapsed against the floor. The children screamed. The mother dragged him toward the stairs. The system responded. Hostile intent confirmed. Automated defense successful. Despair intensified. Survival points acquired. Maya set down her spoon. "I will not watch this." Ethan glanced at her. "Then look away." She stood. Her chair scraped across the floor. "You recruited a doctor. I recruited someone who preserves useful life. Those children are useful life. Not to this fortress." Maya stared at him with open disgust. Ethan met it without anger. Then the building alarms began. Multiple floors. Multiple breaches. Multiple fires. The residents had broken into the emergency storage rooms. They found almost nothing. Marcus had emptied them. Before the storm arrived, he had moved fuel, blankets, and packaged food into a private suite where he and Chloe had gathered followers. He called it the Flame Sanctuary. The residents called him a savior, at first. Marcus stood in the center of the tower's recreation hall with fire circling his hands. Dozens of people huddled around metal drums he kept burning. Chloe moved among them with soft words and a gentle smile. She collected jewelry, cash, medicine, passwords, property documents, anything valuable. In exchange, Marcus allowed people to remain near the flames. The strongest received seats closest to him. The weak stayed near the walls. The old were pushed outside. The sick were denied entry. Chloe called it necessary order. Marcus called it leadership. They ate canned meat behind a curtain while the others watched shadows move beneath the fabric. Every bite created hatred. Every hidden bottle created suspicion. Every promise created another future betrayal. Ethan observed through the building cameras. Marcus's fire had become stronger. So had the black veins beneath his skin. His right hand shook constantly. He hid it behind his back. The geothermal corruption was nearly mature. The system displayed the bond. Elemental output rising. Neurological decay severe. Psychological instability accelerating. Harvest threshold approaching. Ethan leaned back in his chair. The poison was ready. The cup had finally reached Marcus's lips. By the end of the first week, the city had become a frozen graveyard. Government messages still appeared occasionally. Citizens were ordered to remain calm. Rescue teams were promised. Distribution centers were announced. Every center became a battlefield. Supply trucks vanished before arrival. Soldiers abandoned posts to save their families. Police stations were looted. Hospitals burned. The dead froze before blood could finish leaving their bodies. The living began cutting meat from them. Inside the tower, the flame sanctuary collapsed even faster. Marcus rationed food, then reduced the rations, then stopped giving food to anyone who could not serve him. He ordered residents to search abandoned apartments. They returned with canned beans, pet food, alcohol, and bodies. Fights began in the stairwells. One man stabbed his brother over a packet of crackers. A mother traded her wedding ring for warm water. A retired teacher was beaten because someone claimed he had hidden batteries. Chloe encouraged the accusations. Chaos made her power useful. She touched shoulders, whispered comfort, redirected anger. People who questioned Marcus soon found themselves blamed by everyone else. Her emotional suggestion had awakened, weak at first, then stronger. She could not control minds. She could tilt them. A little fear became panic. A little envy became hatred. A little doubt became violence. She believed her ability made her untouchable. She did not know Ethan's sovereign territory had already mapped it. The system studied every pulse of energy, every manipulation, every lie, every weakness. One evening, Chloe looked toward the ceiling, toward the floor far above, toward Ethan. "He has food," she said. Marcus's face tightened. They sat inside a heated office while followers fought outside. A half-empty bottle of whiskey rested between them. "How do you know?" "He always prepares." "That means nothing." "He sold property. He renovated the whole floor. He bought supplies." "You saw the deliveries." Marcus's burned fingers curled. "He has more than us." Chloe leaned closer. "He has everything." The words entered the wound in Marcus's pride. His flames rose. The desk began to smoke. "He thinks he is better than me." Chloe touched his arm. "He always did." Marcus looked up. "He refused to invest. He wanted us to fail. He knew. He mocked you." Each sentence was soft. Each sentence pushed. Marcus's fire spread across his shoulders. Outside the office, people began shouting. Food had disappeared. Someone accused a guard. The guard accused a family. The family accused Chloe. Marcus stood. His eyes burned orange. "We take the fortress." Chloe smiled. Not because she loved him, because she needed what waited above. The first assault began with 30 residents. Marcus promised them food, warmth, medicine, rooms. He promised that Ethan had enough for everyone. He promised that only selfishness stood between them and survival. They carried axes, pipes, hammers, knives, and stolen firearms. Some were starving. Some were furious. Some simply wanted permission to become animals. They climbed the stairs because Ethan had disabled the elevator. Cameras tracked every step. Jonas stood in the command hall beside the defense controls. "They are serious," he said. "Yes." "Do you want me to seal the stairwell?" "Not yet." Lena watched the crowd approach. "There are children among them. They chose to bring them. They were told there was food." "There is." Lena looked at him. "That is cruel." Ethan's gaze remained on the screen. "No. Cruelty is wasting a lesson." The crowd reached the final landing. Marcus stood at the front. Fire covered both arms. Chloe remained behind him in a white coat stolen from another resident. She looked clean, fed, fragile. A perfect victim, a perfect liar. Marcus raised one burning hand toward the door. "Ethan." The speaker activated. "What?" The single word made Marcus's face twitch. He had expected fear, perhaps pleading, perhaps negotiation. Instead, Ethan sounded bored. "Open the door." "No. There are people starving." I know. You have supplies. Yes. The crowd stirred. Marcus smiled. He believed Ethan had made a mistake. He turned toward them. You hear that? He admits it. Ethan's voice came again. I also have beds. Medicine. Heat. Fresh fruit. Hot water. Electricity. More food than everyone in this building could eat. The crowd became silent. Their hunger sharpened. Marcus's smile widened. Then Ethan continued. And none of it belongs to you. The silence shattered. People screamed. They struck the door. They cursed Ethan. They begged. They threatened. A woman held a baby toward the camera. An old man fell to his knees. Someone fired a handgun. The bullet flattened against the disguised armor and dropped. Marcus stepped forward. His flames became white. I will burn through it. Try. Marcus roared. Fire exploded from his body. The hallway became an oven. Paint blistered. Lights melted. People behind him screamed and retreated. He pressed both hands against the entrance. Flames wrapped around the frame. The metal beneath the false wood glowed faintly. Inside, the temperature did not change. The system analyzed the attack. Unstable fire source detected. Energy pattern recorded. Countermeasure ready. Ethan waited. Marcus screamed louder. Blood ran from his nose. The black veins reached his throat. He pushed harder. The fire intensified. Then Ethan activated the defense. The door opened. Marcus stumbled forward. For one glorious instant, triumph filled his face. Then he saw the corridor beyond. Not an apartment. A kill chamber. The walls sealed behind him. The floor locked around his boots. Restraint shot from hidden panels and wrapped his arms. Cold suppressant flooded the chamber. His flames died. Marcus screamed. Outside, Chloe struck the door. Marcus. The crowd surged. Automated barriers dropped from the ceiling. Steel divided the hallway into sections. People were trapped in small groups. Gas hissed from the vents. Not poison. Fear stimulant. Heartbeats accelerated. Breathing broke. Every suspicion they carried became certainty. The crowd turned on itself. A man accused another of hiding food. A woman clawed Chloe's face. Someone fired blindly. The old man who had begged moments earlier bit into another person's hand. Children screamed as adults trampled one another. Chloe tried to use emotional suggestion. The fortress reflected it. Her own fear returned multiplied. She saw murder in every face. Betrayal in every movement. She stumbled backward. Inside the kill chamber, Marcus fought the restraints. His fire flickered weakly. Ethan walked toward him from the far end of the corridor. No armor. No urgency. No fear. Marcus stared. Behind Ethan, warm light illuminated polished walls. The scent of roasted meat drifted through the air. Marcus's stomach cramped. You, he gasped. Ethan stopped a few steps away. Marcus pulled against the restraints. You hid all this. Yes. You knew the storm was coming. Yes. You let us starve. Yes. Each answer broke something inside him. Marcus began laughing. It sounded wrong. Wet. Damaged. You think these walls make you powerful? No. Ethan raised one hand. The entire fortress responded. Lights brightened. Steel shifted. Weapon ports opened. Targeting symbols covered Marcus's body. The walls obey because I am powerful. Marcus's laughter died. Ethan touched the air. The system reached through the unstable bond. The geothermal fire inside Marcus erupted. Not outward. Inward. Marcus arched. His veins glowed. His skin split across his arms. The flames he worshipped began consuming him from beneath. He screamed until blood filled his mouth. What are you doing? Harvesting my property. The elemental bond tore free. Fire poured from Marcus's chest like a living serpent. It crossed the chamber. It entered Ethan's palm. The fortress shook. Far below, the geothermal core awakened fully. Pipes roared. Generators surged. Every room filled with deeper warmth. The system announced the transformation. Contested energy source reclaimed. Corrupted intermediary removed from ownership chain. Fortress core integrated. Rank advancement complete. SSS Rank sovereign authority established. Marcus collapsed against the restraints. His flames were gone. His hands were black. His eyes were empty. Outside, the steel barriers lifted. The surviving crowd saw Ethan standing before Marcus. They saw the fortress beyond him. Green plants. Warm lights. Clean floors. Food on distant tables. They smelled bread. Meat. Coffee. They stopped fighting. One by one, they began trembling, not from cold, from understanding. The man they had mocked had built paradise. The man they had betrayed owned warmth. The man they had come to rob had taken Marcus's power with one hand. Chloe pushed through the crowd. Blood ran down her cheek. Her white coat was torn. She saw Marcus hanging in the restraints. She saw Ethan. Then she saw the fortress behind him. Her knees weakened. "Ethan," she whispered. He looked at her. She tried to smile. The same smile she had used before the apocalypse. Soft. Loving. False. Her ability reached toward him. The fortress crushed it before it crossed the threshold. Pain struck her skull. She fell to one knee. Ethan stepped over Marcus's ruined body and approached the open doorway. The crowd backed away. Axes dropped. Pipes fell. A gun slipped from frozen fingers. No one dared breathe loudly. Ethan looked across the faces that had once called him paranoid, selfish, weak, useless. Now they stared at him as if he were a god standing at the gate of heaven. Behind him, dinner waited beneath golden light. Before him, the tower stank of smoke, blood, hunger, and fear. He pressed one control. The armored door began to close. Panic erupted. People lunged forward. They begged. They screamed promises. Chloe crawled toward the narrowing gap. "Ethan, please." He watched her fingers reach the threshold. Then he smiled. The door closed. Her nails scraped across steel. The locks engaged. Warmth disappeared from the hallway. Darkness returned. Inside, the last hearth remained untouched. Outside, everyone finally understood. The apocalypse was not the cruelest thing in the tower. Ethan was. The begging began before dawn. At first, it came from Chloe alone. She sat outside the sealed entrance with her back against the armored door. Her hair was tangled. Her lips had turned pale. The wound across her cheek had frozen into a dark line. She pressed both hands against the steel and whispered Ethan's name until her voice broke. Inside the last hearth, Ethan heard every word. He sat at the long dining table beneath warm light. A crystal glass rested between his fingers. Dark wine moved slowly against the rim. Across from him, Maya reviewed medical reports. Jonah studied the fortress core output. Lena checked food reserves that had already grown beyond necessity. Fresh lamb roasted in the kitchen. Butter melted over vegetables harvested that morning. Bread cooled beside bowls of fruit. The scent passed through the internal ventilation system. None of it reached the hallway. Chloe could only imagine it. That made the hunger worse. "Ethan," she whispered. He drank. "Please open the door." He drank again. "I know you can hear me." He could. The system displayed her pulse. Weak. Irregular. Fear dominant. Hunger severe. Body temperature falling. Despair value increasing. Ethan dismissed the screen. Maya looked toward the entrance. "She will die out there." "Yes. You could move her to a holding cell." "I could." "You could question her." "I already know everything she would say." Maya closed the report. "What do you want from her?" Ethan looked at the wine. "Honesty." "She is begging." "No. She is performing." As if summoned by the judgment, Chloe's voice changed. The weakness vanished for a moment. A sharper note entered her plea. "You cannot do this to me." Ethan smiled. There it was. Not remorse. Entitlement. Chloe had not come to apologize. She had come to reclaim what she believed belonged to her. Warmth. Food. Safety. Ethan. Even at the edge of death, she still believed his life existed for her convenience. She struck the door. "You loved me." Ethan raised his glass toward the camera. The speaker activated. Chloe froze. His voice entered the hallway. "I did." Relief flashed across her face. She crawled closer. "I knew it. Once." Her relief faltered. "Ethan, listen to me. Marcus manipulated me." Inside the medical wing, Maya closed her eyes. Jonah stopped reading. Lena looked toward the screen. They had heard this kind of lie before. Everyone had. The world had become full of people blaming the dead. Chloe pressed her forehead against the steel. "He threatened me." Ethan's voice remained calm. He was the one tied to the floor. She went silent. "He forced me before that. You signed your apartment away for him. I was scared. You kissed him in the underground garage." Her eyes widened. The fortress displayed the footage beside her face. Marcus laughing. Chloe embracing him. The flame dancing above his hand. Their mouths meeting while they believed Ethan watched nothing. Chloe stared at the image. Her expression collapsed. Then changed. Tears appeared. Fast. Perfect. Useful. I made a mistake. Ethan leaned back in his chair. The wine tasted rich, warm, expensive. A luxury created by a world that no longer existed. You made many. I can fix them. No. I can work for you. No. I can help you control people. No. Her breathing quickened. My ability is valuable. No. I know how the survivors think. So do I. I know their weaknesses. So do I. I know Marcus's secrets. Marcus has no secrets left. Chloe's eyes moved toward the bloodstain in the hallway where the fortress had dragged his body away. For the first time, real terror entered her face. Is he dead? Ethan swirled the wine. Not yet. A sound came from the stairwell. Dragging. Coughing. A ruined man appeared through the darkness. Marcus crawled into the hallway on blackened hands. The geothermal corruption had burned away most of his strength. Without the stolen fire, he looked smaller. Pathetic. Ordinary. His once expensive coat hung from his shoulders in torn strips. His skin was gray. His fingers had fused in places. Every movement left blood across the floor. Chloe recoiled from him. Marcus lifted his head. He saw her sitting beside Ethan's door. Hatred entered his eyes. You. Chloe shook her head. Marcus, you told me to attack. You wanted his supplies. You said he was weak. You believed it. Marcus crawled closer. His ruined hand reached for her ankle. Chloe kicked him in the face. He collapsed, then laughed. The sound scraped through the hallway. You said we would be rulers. Chloe backed against the door. You failed. You pushed me. You were stupid enough to fall. Marcus lunged. His remaining strength carried him across the floor. He grabbed her coat. Chloe screamed. They rolled against the wall. Weak hands clawed. Broken nails tore skin. Two people who had once kissed over Ethan's future now fought over a few inches of the freezing concrete. Inside, Lena watched in silence. Maya looked away. Jonah did not. Ethan drank. The system responded. Former allied hostiles attacking one another. Mutual betrayal confirmed. Despair harvest increased. Marcus struck Chloe across the mouth. She drove her thumb into one of his burned eyes. He screamed. She kicked him in the ribs. He bit her wrist. They cursed each other. Every hidden resentment surfaced. Marcus accused Chloe of sleeping beside him only for power. Chloe accused Marcus of being a fraud. Marcus said she had planned to abandon Ethan before the apocalypse. Chloe said Marcus had planned to kill Ethan even before the food ran low. Neither denied anything. Their confessions filled the command hall. Ethan listened without surprise. He had already understood the shape of their betrayal. Hearing the details only removed the last traces of ambiguity. Marcus had researched Ethan's accounts. Chloe had copied his passwords. They had discussed poisoning him. They had planned to take his property after the false medical company collapsed. The apocalypse had not created monsters. It had merely removed the calendar from their plan. When exhaustion finally ended the fight, Marcus lay against the wall. Chloe sat several feet away, holding her bleeding wrist. They no longer looked at each other. They looked at the door. At Ethan. Marcus coughed. Brother. Ethan's eyes became colder. The speaker remained active. Marcus pressed both palms together. The gesture looked almost religious. I was wrong. Ethan said nothing. I lost control. Silence. The power changed me. Ethan took another drink. Marcus crawled closer. You know what it was like? No. You saw the fire. Yes. It spoke to me. I know. It made me hurt people. No. It gave you permission. Marcus flinched. Ethan placed his glass on the table. Then he spoke the words Marcus had once whispered over his dying body. You were too kind for this world. Marcus froze. The hallway seemed to contract around him. Ethan continued. His voice never rose. You said that while twisting a knife inside me. Marcus's mouth opened. No sound came. Chloe stared at the camera. Her face drained of what little color remained. Ethan spoke again. You removed my ring. Chloe shook her head. No. You told me you never loved me. That did not happen. You said I was useful. I never said that. You smiled while they opened my storage room. Chloe struck the door with both hands. You are confused. Ethan almost laughed. Even now, even with death kneeling beside her, she still lied. The fortress lights dimmed. The hallway screens awakened. Images appeared across them, not recordings. Memories reconstructed by the sovereign system. Ethan on the floor, blood beneath him. Marcus holding the knife. Chloe removing the ring. Neighbors tearing open the storage room. Their faces filled with greed. Their mouths filled with food. Their boots stepping over Ethan's body. Marcus and Chloe watched themselves commit a murder that had not yet occurred in this timeline. They could not understand it. That made the terror deeper. Marcus whispered, "What is this?" "The truth. It never happened. It happened to me." Chloe backed away from the screen. "You came back." Ethan lifted the wine again. "Yes." The word destroyed them. Every strange decision. Every refused investment. Every hidden camera. Every supply order. Every trap. Every smile. They finally understood. Ethan had not escaped their betrayal. He had returned from it. He had known every move before they made it. They had never been predators. They had been rats inside a maze built from their own future. Chloe fell to her knees. This time, the tears were real. "Ethan," he waited. "I am sorry." "No," she sobbed. "I am." "No, you are cold. I loved you." "No, you loved access. I can change." "No, you can adapt. I will spend the rest of my life proving it." "Your life will not be that long." Chloe screamed. The sound became animal. She struck the door. She begged. She promised obedience. She offered her ability, her body, her loyalty, her silence, anything, everything. Ethan listened until she had nothing left except breath. Then Marcus began. He cried too. Not with dignity, not with restraint. He crawled across the floor and pressed his face against the threshold. He called Ethan brother. He spoke about childhood, about school, about shared meals, about nights when Ethan had helped him, about every kindness he had once treated as weakness. He pulled old memories from the past like rotten ropes. Ethan cut each one. "You abandoned me when my father died." Marcus shook his head. "I was young. You borrowed money and never returned it. I was struggling. You lied about the company. I was desperate. You took Chloe. She chose me. You stabbed me." Marcus stopped. There was nowhere left to hide. Ethan repeated another memory. "You made us nervous." Marcus began trembling. That had been his excuse. The last justification before murder. The final lie. Ethan's voice remained gentle. "You remember now." Marcus pressed his forehead to the floor. "Forgive me." "No, please. No, I was not myself. You were exactly yourself." Silence followed. Clean. Final. The surviving residents began gathering farther down the hallway. They watched Marcus and Chloe kneel before the door. No one approached. These were the people who had marched behind them. People who had believed Marcus's promises. People who had attacked Ethan's fortress. Now hunger had hollowed their faces. The strongest had become thin. The cruelest had become cautious. The loudest had lost their voices. A woman stepped forward. She had once held her baby toward the camera. The baby was gone. She knelt. "We were misled." Others joined her. "Marcus lied to us. Chloe manipulated us. We only wanted food. We did not mean harm. We can serve you. We can clean. We can guard the tower. We can work." Ethan looked across them through the camera. He remembered each face. The man who had fired at his door. The woman who had called him a monster. The old resident who had once spread rumors about his construction. The guard who accepted Marcus's bribe. The neighbors who had planned to divide Ethan's rooms before breaching them. They wanted forgiveness because punishment had arrived. That was not remorse. That was arithmetic. Ethan activated the hallway speaker. Everyone fell silent. "You came to take what was mine." A man lowered his head. "We were starving." So was the old woman on the 19th floor. Several faces changed. They knew. They had taken her rice. Some had watched. Some had helped. No one had stopped it. Ethan continued. "You broke her fingers." The man who had held the fire extinguisher began backing away. The fortress marked him. "You dragged her into the stairwell." A woman started crying. "You ate while she froze." No one answered. Ethan looked at them without hatred. Hatred required closeness. These people were beneath it. "You did not become animals because you were hungry," he said. "You were always animals." Hunger only removed the clothing. The outer security doors opened behind the crowd. Frozen wind howled into the hallway. Snow rushed across the floor. People screamed. They surged toward Ethan's sealed entrance. The automated barriers rose. No path forward. Only backward. Toward the storm. The tower's heating system shut down completely. Pipes cracked. Lights died. Every remaining pocket of warmth vanished. Inside the last hearth, the geothermal core burned brighter. Jonah watched the output climb. Maya stood beside the medical doors. Lena looked at Ethan. You are sending them out. I am returning them to the world they chose. The fortress began clearing hostile occupants. Steel partitions shifted. Doors unlocked in sequence. Cold air drove the residents down the stairwell. Some resisted. Defense currents dropped them. Some begged. The speakers remained silent. Some attacked one another for coats. Some abandoned family members to move faster. Their final descent revealed them completely. Marcus remained near the entrance. His ruined body could not follow. Chloe clung to the door until her fingers split. The system waited for Ethan's judgment. 2 hostile principles remain within sovereign perimeter. Available actions include exile, execution, imprisonment, or despair preservation. Ethan selected exile. The entrance opened by a narrow amount. Warm light spilled across Marcus and Chloe. For one breath, they saw paradise. The long table, the wine, the fruit. Maya standing healthy beneath clean light. Jonah beside machines that hummed with limitless power. Lena surrounded by shelves of food. The air smelled of roasted meat and fresh bread. Marcus reached forward. Chloe sobbed. Ethan stood at the center of it all. Untouched. Well-fed. Calm. A king inside the world they had tried to steal. He walked toward them. Chloe looked up with desperate hope. Ethan removed the ring from his finger. The same ring she had once taken from his corpse. He dropped it outside the threshold. It landed between them. Chloe stared at it. Ethan repeated her final words. You were useful. That was all. The door closed. The floor beneath Marcus and Chloe shifted. A section of hallway tilted toward the emergency stairs. They slid across the frozen concrete. Chloe screamed Ethan's name. Marcus tried to hold the wall. His damaged fingers failed. They fell into the darkness together. Not as lovers. Not as allies. As 2 condemned animals clawing at each other for balance. The outer doors sealed after them. The tower became silent. Hours later, the fortress cameras found Marcus in the frozen lobby. He had died beside a burned chair he could no longer ignite. His mouth remained open. His blackened hands were wrapped around an empty bottle. Chloe lasted longer. She crossed the street, entered an abandoned store, found no food. She used emotional suggestion on a group of survivors. Her weakened power failed. They recognized her from the flame sanctuary. They took her coat, her boots, the ring she had picked up from the hallway. They left her behind the store beneath a broken sign. She died alone. No Marcus. No Ethan. No audience for her tears. Only snow. Only hunger. Only the cold truth that no one found her useful anymore. Inside the last hearth, Ethan stood before the armored window. The storm continued without end. Cities vanished. Nations collapsed. The old world became a memory buried beneath ice. Behind him, the fortress lived. Plants grew. Water flowed. Machines hummed. Servitors worked. Storage chambers multiplied abundance faster than it could be consumed. The sovereign system displayed its final report. Primary betrayers eliminated. Hostile tower population expelled. Fortress authority absolute. SSS rank stabilization complete. New sovereign objective available. Expand territory. Conquer remaining shelters. Establish dominion over the frozen world. Ethan dismissed the screen. He poured another glass of wine. Maya approached but stopped several steps away. Do you feel better? Ethan looked through the glass at the buried city. No. Then was it worth it? He drank slowly. The warmth settled in his chest. Far below, the dead disappeared beneath fresh snow. It was never about feeling better. What was it about? Ethan watched the storm erase the last traces of Chloe's path. Then he smiled. Balance. The fortress crown appeared above the city map. New territory waited. New enemies waited. New mouths would beg. New rulers would kneel. Ethan turned from the window and walked toward his throne at the center of the command hall. The world had taught him its law with a knife. He had returned to write that law in steel. Kindness without power was only an invitation. Mercy without loyalty was only delayed betrayal. And those who called cruelty unjust always changed their minds when cruelty finally belonged to someone stronger. Outside, everyone starved. Inside, Ethan raised his glass. The apocalypse had not made him a king. It had merely given him a kingdom honest enough to deserve him.